Well, what we're going to talk about a little bit today is a little bit of a review of that, a little bit of how it works, a tiny bit of the brain science, and some examples in my own life where I have been able to rewrite memories. And and then what I hope we can do maybe at the end is do it together, do an exercise together, where we will kind of all just be together and think through some memories. So what I'm talking about is two things. One of the meditations is on gratitude, and we know thinking on positive things. We know the science says when you frame your brain towards positivity, it's not only good for your brain health, it's good for your cardiovascular health and all that amazing stuff. What we also have learned is that it helps kind of just within like backwards processing, the stuff that's like off in the background rolling up. And the reason that happens is because it basically gives us more bandwidth. When we are releasing a lot of that negativity, we don't even realize it's running in the background. When we feel like someone owes us something, or we owe something to somebody else, like it's there, it just is there. And until we can address it, it's going to continue to stay there until we yell at our kids, like to do, it's going to come out like some gushing, disgusting, tumor on its own if it's not addressed. So we can do that through gratitude, because we're just thinking about positive things. We have talked about kind of some of the affirmations before. I hope you guys are, at least dipping your toe in the water at least once a week with that. That's a powerful way we can do that, reframe the way we look at ourselves. And this other is also an active way. And one of the things we can do is this meditation podcast, or meditation recording, which you can listen to. Or what I do, and I've talked about it in this group before, is I start my day with 3 to 5 moments. So I open this up, the top of my page, I write down 3 to 5 moments that are real concrete moments in the last 24 to 48 hours. And I'm genuinely grateful for. And it is a moment with my family. It's a moment with my wife. It's a moment with one of you guys. It is simply working on something that I wanted to get to, fixing something, any number of things. There's no limit to what it could be, but it's hell, man, I'm proud of myself for remembering to floss last night. And it could be that simple, right? You are just trying to connect your brain and your mind to a real thing so that your brain gets used to bringing up positive experiences. So that was one. The meditation we did was really fun because we're thinking about our body. So we're now also making our brain needing to work to focus on certain parts of our body. So we're getting a positive brain experience, and we're thinking on nice things that our toes have taken us through, our knees and hips and all that stuff. That's a fun thing. If you have not done that one, that's a really fun one. I always smile when I do it. Rewriting memories. This is a really interesting idea, a really, really, really interesting idea. And I had, I think, first been exposed to it, I don't know, 6 years ago or something. And I've seen a lot of weird sounding, but actually ideas around it. One of them is a guy named Dr. David Schnarch, who's probably my favorite sex therapist. If you guys are looking for a book on like intimacy, like a really holistic, psychiatric and practical guy, David Schnarch is a good resource. Heavy reading. It's not easy read, but good stuff. And he talks about using affirmations and sex simultaneously to help rewire your brain and memories around things. So that's like, this is a thing. This is a thing that's been going around a long time. And then I can't remember the guy's last name right now, but a writer that was kind of influential on me on helping me to stop drinking introduced me to kind of what I offered to you guys through that guided meditation. And that is revisiting memories in our past and understanding that we can show up in those memories as our present highest self and help our younger self wherever they went right, which was a painful mistake in our mind, right? We can show up in that same memory as our current present self who is capable. And we can provide safety for that young person. We can provide mental, moral, physical support even. And we can tell that young person how we can together go left instead. And how together we are going to support this young person, this young version of ourselves. The first time I did this, I thought of a memory. I'm going to share a few memories with you guys that I've been able to rewrite in a different way, because they used to weigh on me. And sometimes I didn't even realize they were weighing on me, and others I was very, very aware. Like that was a time in my life that like a belief solidified in me, and it had not been able to get unlodged until I started doing this stuff. So one of those was probably a memory that I'm going to guess is like one of the first times I felt physically unsafe. And I don't know why it happened at this age and not an earlier age. I think I was in second grade, maybe first grade. And I don't have any memories that I can think of prior to this where I was actually afraid, like where I thought I was going to be harmed or hurt in some way. And I was second grade. I was living in a town called Roswell, New Mexico. My grandmother was a teacher at the poorest school on the worst side of town. And I went to school with her because she was my grandmother, and it was easy for us to go together. But I was the only Anglo kid. I was the only white kid in mostly Hispanic school. And I think there was like me and a black kid, and everybody else was Hispanic. And which, first grade didn't care, didn't notice really that much. Second grade, it really became apparent. Like I was being made fun of, and I got beat up one day. And pack of second graders jumped me and pushed me down, kicked me, and hit me and all that stuff, and called me names and all that stuff, and it scared the fuck out of me and kept me scared for basically the rest of the time I lived in that town. And I had to like do weird shit to not be afraid. And I was remembering something, I kind of like got weirdly aggressive in high school because I was so afraid that I would like try to start fights and stuff because I was so afraid. So I went through that memory a few years ago with the intent of showing up as myself now, right? And I watched the whole scene up until the kids pushed me over, and I approached myself as me, as a dad, essentially, right? And was able to stop the scene and explain to my younger self why these kids acted this way, what was probably going on in their homes too, why they would be afraid of a white kid, and presented some safety to myself. And we didn't, I didn't like go beat up a bunch of second graders in my mind, although if you need to do that, I don't know. But I provided safety for my young self and was able to feel that sense of like fear leave my body that I didn't realize I had quick access to. Like I didn't carry it around. I didn't consciously carry it around, but when I think about it, it would all come back up. I know I was in a really bad car accident when I was 20 in Africa, and our car flipped over 3 times. And for years after that experience, anytime a steering wheel of a vehicle would kind of like jerk or lurch a little bit, like my whole body would be adrenalized again for a moment. It doesn't happen to me anymore, but our bodies learn really fast. And that second grade memory was kind of one of those things where I would just get adrenalized. So that's an example. Another example was I was a poor student. I was not a good student in school. I had a real difficult time getting like B's, and I later found out it's because I was like dyslexic and had ADD and had no idea. None of those things. Those things were not even like in the realm of possibility. I was just told I was a lazy daydreamer. That was what I would get on my report card. And in my junior year, somewhere in there, I just decided I was going to do whatever it took to pull good grades and to do things that I was afraid of. And I joined the wrestling team, and I got into all honors classes. I don't know how I did that, but I just decided, hey guys, let me in. And I can't remember if I had a test or what it was, but I got into these honors classes and suddenly had straight A's. Not suddenly, I worked hard at it, but I had straight A's, and I was wrestling. I was not good, but I was like enjoying it. And about a month from the end of the semester, my stepdad, and my mom tell me we're going to leave town at the end of the year, and we're going to move from Roswell, New Mexico to Dallas, Texas. And at that time I was like, it was, I was hitting my stride as my 17-year-old teenage self, and was loving it and loved my community and my friends and how I was performing at school. And it was devastating to me. It was really, really, really bad. It hurt a lot. And I remember writing a paper for my honors history class and going to the library in Roswell, the public library, and pulling a book off the shelf and saying out loud, I don't even know why I'm doing this. It's not going to matter. Doesn't matter. And I have to change schools anyway. And I, in a moment, hypnotized myself into thinking it didn't matter. And what I really was doing was giving myself this like excuse to not finish something. And even though it was completely true for me at the moment, it fucked me up for a very long time because I completely bought into what I was saying. And I put that book back, and for years I carried around this belief that was probably, I don't think that was like the genesis of that idea, but it was certainly a moment that like really like solidified that in my mind. And the belief was nothing good will ever work out fully. Like it'll always be a hope and a dream in the future, and maybe I'll get close sometimes, but it'll never really work out. And that was like a superstition of mine. And I mean that in kind of the oogie boogiest way you can think of the word superstition. And so that was another memory. And by this time I had been practicing rewriting memories enough through a guided meditation, or just put my headphones on and listen to an app. I think I've talked to you guys about it before, brain.fm, which is an excellent neural help, rewiring app, and would go through it. And then at the time I was running a lot of long distances, and, like 10 miles at a time. And I decided to revisit that memory. And I, during the run, got in one of those great cadences where like everything kind of comes online, you're in it, and your brain can really flow. And I went back to the exact memory. I went back to exactly the moment I took the book off the shelf. And then instead of repeating the same thing, I checked that book out. And then I went home and I wrote the damn paper in my memory. Like I wrote the paper, I edited it, I like knew what I was writing about. I turned it in, I got a good grade, right? And I, in my mind, literally had to like decide that I ended that semester way different than the reality was. And I kind of had to like begin to like relive like the highlights of my high school experience after that moment. Is a different experience. And it began to remind me that I'm capable. It began to remind me that I can be confident in myself, that when I can decide to do something, I can do it. So those are two examples of my own life. I've done this other times with other memories as well. Is this resonating with anybody? Like taking them back to a moment in your past where you're like, shit, that one got me. That one got me. Yeah. Anybody? I'd love to hear a memory from someone, or if they've worked through one, or they're thinking about a memory in the past that like we'd like to rewrite. How about we do one right now? How about your hands on your lap? I'm going to close my eyes. You can close your eyes too, and put your palms facing up in the air. Take a deep breath. With every exhale, allow your heart rate to slow down a little bit more. Starting at the top of your head, notice any tension in your temples or your forehead, muscles keeping your eyes closed, spots underneath your eyes, the bridge of your nose, your jaw, back of your skull, your neck, your shoulders. You keep breathing. Every time you exhale, a little bit more relaxed. Your elbows, your forearms, torso, your back completely relaxed. Your lower back, your hips, your knees, calves, heels as they are rooted on the ground, balls of your feet and your toes. In your mind's eye, imagine a movie screen that you can see right now. It's right in front of you. Some part of your life begins to play on that screen. And it's a memory that, even as we were speaking a few minutes ago, you were thinking about. It's that moment. And slowly the screen gets closer and closer until you are in that moment and you're watching it as if it's real right in front of you. And you see your younger self standing in the same spot, about to go through the same situation. And right before it happens, you introduce yourself. Your younger self looks at you, and with your whole being, you provide a sense of deep safety. The way you look at them, the way you kneel down, the way you extend your hand for a handshake, the way you might even put your hand on the back of their shoulders with reassurance. You introduce yourself, you say hello, and you can talk about this moment. How because you are there, because of what you know, because of your experience, because of your age, because of your wisdom, you know what to do, and that you're there to help. And in your own way, you can convey that safety to them. Fatherly love. And taking your right hand, you reach down and you gently hold their left hand. You give them a little squeeze. As you're doing that, you're going to put your fingernail of your thumb, kind of press it into your forefinger. It's a way to remember this moment. It's a way to come back to this moment. A way of connecting it in your mind, this moment of safety and knowing, reassurance. And when your younger self feels completely safe, and this scenario changes, and a new reality exists in your mind, and a new reality is solidifying the neurological connection in your mind. You feel your younger self saying thanks. And in some way, you say back that you will always be available, that you are always there for their safety and their support. You are never far away. And even if you don't know the answer to what they're looking for in any given moment, you can assure them that you'll figure it out. Hell or high water, you'll be there for them, no matter what. And they know. And you can feel that they know, because now you know. Now you know you're safe. And slowly the screen begins to reappear in your mind, and you see it. You see a new reality. A different path. And a new sense of safety. And then the screen turns off, and you can feel your chair where you are. You can feel your feet on the ground. You can feel the air in the room against your skin. You can breathe it through your nose. Press into your forefinger again with your thumb. Remember that sense of safety. Slowly put your hands on your heart. Send love to your heart, gratitude, love to yourself for doing this. And when you're ready, begin to open your eyes. Come back.